Have you ever noticed that the things you desperately want often seem to move further away the harder you chase them? The relationship you keep thinking about, the money you keep worrying about, the opportunity you keep waiting for, the dream that occupies your mind day and night. The more important it becomes, the more pressure you feel. And strangely, the more pressure you feel, the more distant it seems. Why does this happen? Because need and possession are two completely different states of consciousness. When you need something, you are constantly aware that you do not have it. Your thoughts revolve around its absence. Your emotions are tied to its arrival. Your happiness depends upon it. Every day becomes a reminder of what appears to be missing. But the person who already has what they desire does not feel this way. They are not anxious. They are not desperate. They are not searching for proof every hour. They carry a quiet confidence because they identify with possession rather than lack. This is the great paradox that many people never discover. The moment you stop needing something to complete you, you become free. And it is often in that freedom that life begins to move. The resistance dissolves. The pressure disappears. The desire no longer controls your emotions. Today we are going to explore a powerful truth. The less you need it, the faster it arrives. Not because you stop caring, not because you give up, but because you stop living from the state of lack and begin living from the state of fulfillment. We will discover why chasing creates distance, why fulfillment must come before results, why detachment is a form of trust, how to live from the end instead of toward it, and how to allow life to reflect the reality you have already accepted within yourself. Because the secret is not to get more. The secret is to become more. And when you become inwardly complete, life has a remarkable way of bringing to you what you once believed you had to chase. One of the most misunderstood principles in the journey toward achieving any desire is the difference between wanting something and needing it. At first glance, they may seem similar, but they come from completely different states of consciousness. Wanting is natural. It is the creative impulse that inspires growth, expansion, and new experiences. Needing, however, carries a different energy. Needing implies that something essential is missing from your life right now. It suggests that your happiness, peace, confidence, or sense of worth depends on obtaining a particular outcome. And this is where the problem begins. Think about the emotional experience of needing something. Whether it is money, love, success, recognition, or a specific opportunity, the feeling of need often comes with pressure. There is anxiety about when it will happen. There is fear that it may never arrive. There is constant attention directed toward the fact that it is not yet present. The mind becomes obsessed with the desire because it believes fulfillment cannot exist without it. As a result, every day becomes a reminder of what seems absent. This is why need can be such a powerful barrier. Whatever you need, you continuously acknowledge as something you do not yet possess. You think about it because it is missing. You worry about it because it is missing. You search for signs because it is missing. Every action, every thought, and every emotional reaction reinforces the same message: I don't have it. Without realizing it, you become emotionally attached to the state of lack. Imagine a person who desperately wants a relationship. They check their messages constantly. They analyze every interaction. They become discouraged when things do not happen according to their expectations. Their emotional state rises and falls based on external circumstances. Why? Because they have convinced themselves that their happiness depends on a specific outcome. The relationship has become a perceived necessity rather than a desire. The same pattern occurs with money. Someone who feels they need money to feel secure spends their days worrying about finances. They focus on bills, shortages, and obstacles. Their attention remains fixed on what they lack. Even when opportunities appear, fear often overshadows possibility because their dominant state is one of scarcity. The desire for abundance has transformed into an emotional dependency. The paradox is that the more emotionally dependent you become on something, the more power you give it over your inner world. Your peace becomes conditional. Your confidence becomes conditional. Your happiness becomes conditional. Instead of living freely, you live in reaction to circumstances. The desire controls your emotional state because you believe you cannot be complete without it. Now consider the opposite. Think about a person who desires something but does not need it to feel whole. They still have goals. They still have dreams. They still take action. But their sense of identity does not depend on the outcome. They remain peaceful whether progress is visible or not. They trust the process. They enjoy life in the present moment. Their emotional stability is not tied to external events. This difference is profound because it changes the energy from which a person lives. The one who needs something operates from fear. The one who desires something without needing it operates from confidence. One is focused on absence. The other is focused on possibility. One feels incomplete. The other feels whole. Many people mistakenly believe that letting go of need means giving up on the desire. In reality, it means releasing emotional dependency. It means understanding that your worth, happiness, and peace are not waiting on the other side of a future event. It means recognizing that you can be fulfilled now, even while moving toward a goal. When you release the feeling of need, something remarkable happens. The pressure begins to disappear. You stop obsessing over timelines. You stop measuring every day by visible results. You stop looking to the outside world for constant validation. Instead, you return to a state of trust. You become more relaxed, more confident, and more present. This does not mean your desire disappears. It simply means it no longer controls you. You are free to pursue it without fear. You are free to enjoy the journey without desperation. You are free to remain at peace regardless of temporary circumstances. The truth is that what you need most intensely often remains something you continue to experience as missing because your attention is fixed on its absence. But when you stop needing it to complete you, you create a new state of consciousness. You begin living from wholeness rather than lack. You begin expecting rather than chasing. You begin trusting rather than forcing. And it is often from this state of inner freedom that life begins responding differently. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped identifying with absence. You stopped affirming what was missing and started embodying what was already complete. That is the hidden power of releasing need. The moment you no longer require something to feel whole is often the moment you become most capable of receiving it. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have about achieving their desires is the belief that fulfillment comes after manifestation. They tell themselves, when I get the money, then I will feel secure. When I find the relationship, then I will feel loved. When I achieve success, then I will feel confident. When my circumstances change, then I will finally be happy. This way of thinking seems reasonable because it is how most people have been conditioned to see the world. They believe that external conditions create internal feelings. Yet, if you observe life closely, you will discover that this approach often keeps fulfillment forever out of reach. The reason is simple. If you depend on a future event to create peace, confidence, or happiness, you remain emotionally attached to the future. You continue living in a state of waiting. Your mind constantly focuses on what is not yet present. Every day becomes another reminder that the desired outcome has not arrived. Instead of experiencing fulfillment, you experience anticipation. Instead of feeling complete, you feel incomplete. The desire becomes a condition for happiness rather than an expression of it. This is why fulfillment must come before manifestation. Before a desire appears in your outer experience, you must first become emotionally acquainted with the feeling you believe it will bring. If you think money will make you feel secure, begin cultivating security now. If you think success will make you feel confident, begin cultivating confidence now. If you think a relationship will make you feel loved, begin cultivating love within yourself now. Many people spend years chasing outcomes because they are actually chasing feelings. They believe they want wealth, but what they truly desire is freedom. They believe they want recognition, but what they truly desire is significance. They believe they want a relationship, but what they truly desire is connection and love. The object of desire is often a symbol for a deeper emotional experience. When you recognize this, something powerful becomes possible. You stop postponing those feelings. You stop waiting for circumstances to grant you permission to experience them. Instead, you begin generating them from within. This is not pretending. It is not denying reality. It is choosing to embody the state you seek before visible evidence appears. Imagine a person who already possesses everything they desire. How do they walk through life? They do not wake up every morning desperate for proof. They do not spend their day obsessing over what is missing. They carry themselves differently because their emotional state is different. There is confidence in their attitude. There is calmness in their decisions. There is trust in their outlook. They are not waiting for fulfillment because they already feel fulfilled. This is the state you must begin cultivating. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already realized? Then focus on the feeling rather than the event. If your answer is peace, begin practicing peace. If your answer is gratitude, begin practicing gratitude. If your answer is confidence, begin acting from confidence. Let the emotional experience become familiar. At first, this may feel unusual because the mind has been trained to look outside for validation. It may argue that you have no reason to feel fulfilled yet. It may insist that circumstances must change first. But every major transformation begins by challenging old assumptions. If you continue waiting for evidence before allowing yourself to feel fulfilled, you remain dependent on circumstances. If you choose fulfillment first, you begin creating a new foundation. Notice how different your energy becomes when you feel fulfilled. You stop chasing, you stop forcing, you stop reacting to every delay. You become more patient because your happiness is no longer held hostage by the future. You begin enjoying the present moment. You engage with life from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. This shift also changes the quality of your actions. Decisions made from fear are very different from decisions made from fulfillment. Fear-driven actions often come from desperation and urgency. Fulfillment-driven actions come from confidence and clarity. When you feel complete within yourself, you naturally make choices that reflect that state. The paradox is that many people try to manifest fulfillment through external achievements, while true manifestation often begins with fulfillment itself. The outer result is not meant to create the feeling. The feeling is meant to come first. The result simply reflects what has already become natural within you. So stop postponing your peace. Stop delaying your happiness until some future condition is met. Stop telling yourself that fulfillment exists somewhere ahead of you. Begin experiencing it now. Feel grateful now. Feel confident now. Feel secure now. Feel abundant now. Because the moment fulfillment becomes your state, you are no longer living as someone waiting for life to begin. You are living as someone who has already discovered the secret that so many overlook. What you seek externally must first become real internally. And when fulfillment becomes natural within you, Manifestation is no longer something you desperately chase. It becomes something you naturally allow. One of the most transformative shifts a person can make is learning to live from the end instead of living toward it. Most people spend their lives moving toward their desires. They see their dreams as distant goals somewhere in the future. They tell themselves, one day I will be successful. One day I will be wealthy. One day I will be loved. One day I will be fulfilled. As a result, they remain psychologically separated from what they want. Their desire is always ahead of them, and they are always trying to catch up. At first, this may seem like a normal way to pursue goals. After all, society teaches us to work toward things. We are taught that our dreams exist in the future, and that we must struggle our way toward them. But there is a hidden problem in this approach. Every time you think of your desire as something you are moving toward, you reinforce the idea that you do not already possess it. Your attention remains focused on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Living from the end is different. Instead of seeing your desire as something distant, you begin identifying with the version of yourself who has already experienced it. You stop asking, how can I get there? And start asking, who would I be if I were already there? This simple shift changes the entire direction of your thinking. Imagine for a moment that your desire has already been fulfilled. Whatever it may be, financial freedom, a loving relationship, success, health, or personal achievement. Imagine that it is already part of your life. Now ask yourself, how would I think? How would I feel? How would I respond to challenges? How would I see myself? The answers to those questions reveal the state you are meant to occupy. Most people believe circumstances create identity. They think success creates confidence, wealth creates security, and love creates happiness. But living from the end reverses that process. It recognizes that identity comes first. The version of yourself who already has the desire thinks differently, feels differently, and behaves differently than the version who is still waiting. For example, imagine someone who desires financial abundance. If they are living toward it, they may constantly worry about money. They may focus on limitations and fear. Their thoughts are dominated by scarcity because they believe abundance is still far away. But if they begin living from the end, they start thinking like a financially secure person. They cultivate confidence. They focus on opportunities rather than obstacles. They make decisions from a sense of trust rather than panic. They are no longer emotionally trapped by the appearance of lack, because they have chosen a different inner identity. The same principle applies to every area of life. A person seeking love often spends their time feeling lonely and incomplete. They believe a relationship will eventually make them feel whole. But the person living from the end begins cultivating love, confidence, and emotional fulfillment now. They stop waiting for someone else to provide those feelings. They embody them first. One of the reasons living from the end is so powerful is because the mind naturally adapts to the identity it repeatedly occupies. If you constantly identify as someone who lacks, the feeling of lack becomes familiar. If you consistently identify as someone who already possesses the desired state, that feeling becomes familiar instead. At first, this may require conscious effort. Your current circumstances may seem to contradict your chosen identity. The mind may try to pull you back into old patterns of thinking. It may point to problems, delays, and obstacles as proof that nothing has changed. But remember, living from the end is not about denying reality. It is about refusing to let temporary appearances determine your inner state. It is about choosing the state first and allowing circumstances to catch up later. Think of an actor preparing for a role. They do not merely talk about the character, they immerse themselves in the character. They think, feel, and behave as that person until the role becomes natural. In much the same way, living from the end means becoming emotionally familiar with the version of yourself you wish to be. As this state becomes natural, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing, you stop forcing, you stop obsessing over timelines. Your actions become more confident because they arise from identity rather than desperation. You begin responding to life from the perspective of someone who already knows they are supported, successful, loved, or abundant. This creates a sense of inner stability that is not dependent on external conditions. Your confidence no longer rises and falls with circumstances. Your peace is no longer postponed until a future event occurs. You begin experiencing fulfillment now rather than waiting for it later. So stop placing your life on hold until your desire arrives. Stop defining yourself by temporary conditions. Stop treating your dream as something forever beyond your reach. Instead, ask yourself each day, who would I be if it were already done? Then think from that state, feel from that state, act from that state, live from that state. Because when you stop living toward your desire and start living from its fulfillment, you no longer remain a person waiting for change. You become the person who has already changed. And from that transformation, everything else begins to follow. There comes a point in every journey where effort must give way to trust. After you have clarified your desire, cultivated the feeling of fulfillment, released attachment, and begun living from the end, there is one final step that many people struggle to take, allowing life to deliver what you have already accepted within yourself. This is where true faith is tested. It is easy to feel confident for a few moments. It is easy to imagine a better future when everything seems to be going well. But can you remain at peace when you cannot yet see visible evidence? Can you trust the process when circumstances appear unchanged? Can you allow life to unfold without trying to force every detail? Most people have been conditioned to believe that they must personally control everything. They feel responsible for figuring out every step, predicting every outcome, and managing every possibility. They believe that constant effort, worry, and analysis are necessary to ensure success. As a result, they spend enormous amounts of energy trying to make life happen according to their plans. Yet this approach often creates tension rather than results. The more they try to force outcomes, the more frustrated they become when reality does not immediately comply. Allowing is different. Allowing does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means releasing the need to control the things that are beyond your control. It means trusting that once a state has been accepted internally, life has a way of organizing itself around that acceptance. Your role is not to manipulate every circumstance. Your role is to remain faithful to the state you have chosen. Think about how nature works. A seed does not become a tree overnight. There is a process. There are stages of growth that cannot be rushed. Yet the seed does not struggle to become what it already contains within itself. It unfolds according to its nature. In the same way, when you accept a new state of consciousness, there is often a period of unseen development. Changes may be taking place beneath the surface long before they become visible. The problem is that many people become impatient during this stage. They constantly check for evidence. They look for signs. They demand immediate results. Every day they ask, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? Without realizing it, they are shifting their attention back to the absence of the desire. Instead of trusting the process, they are questioning it. Instead of living from fulfillment, they are reacting to appearances. This is why allowing is so important. Allowing means understanding that not everything can be judged by current circumstances. It means recognizing that visible reality often lags behind internal transformation. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Some of the most significant changes occur quietly and gradually. Consider how often opportunities arrive unexpectedly. A conversation leads to a new connection. A chance meeting opens a door. An idea appears at the right moment. A solution emerges from an unexpected source. Life has countless ways of arranging circumstances that the logical mind could never predict. When you become overly attached to controlling the process, you limit yourself to what you currently understand. When you allow, you become open to possibilities beyond your imagination. Allowing also frees you from emotional exhaustion. Constant striving creates pressure. Constant monitoring creates stress. Constant worrying drains your energy. But trust restores peace. It allows you to focus on living rather than endlessly evaluating. You stop treating every delay as a problem. You stop interpreting every obstacle as failure. You stop believing that your timeline is the only timeline that matters. One of the greatest signs that you have truly accepted something internally is that you no longer feel the need to force it. There is a quiet confidence. There is a calm expectation. You know what you have chosen, and you remain faithful to it. You do not need daily proof because your certainty comes from within rather than from external confirmation. This does not mean challenges will never appear. It does not mean every step will be easy. What it means is that you approach challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as evidence against your desire, you see them as part of the journey. You remain centered. You remain confident. You remain committed to the state you have accepted. As you move forward, remember this simple principle: life often responds best when you stop trying to force it. Continue to take inspired action. Continue to grow. Continue to develop yourself, but release the burden of making everything happen through sheer effort alone. Trust the unseen. Trust the process. Trust the state you have chosen. Allow yourself to enjoy the present moment while the future unfolds. Because the moment you truly accept something within yourself, the work is no longer about chasing it. The work becomes remaining faithful to it. And when you remain faithful, patient, and open, life has an extraordinary ability to deliver what you have already embraced in consciousness. So stop pulling at the roots to see if the tree is growing. Stop demanding proof every day. Stop trying to force every outcome into existence. Accept it, trust it, allow it, and let life reveal the results in its own perfect way. For often, the greatest manifestations arrive not when you are desperately chasing them, but when you have become so certain within yourself that you are finally willing to let life do its part. As we come to the end of this message, remember one simple but life-changing truth. What you need most intensely often remains something you continue needing, but what you inwardly accept becomes part of your reality. For years, many people have been taught to pursue, force, struggle, and chase. They have been told that desire requires endless effort and constant attention. Yet the deeper lesson is that fulfillment does not come from desperation. It comes from alignment. The desire itself is not the problem. Attachment is. Fear is. The belief that you are incomplete without it is. The moment you stop looking to a future event to save you, complete you, or validate you, something powerful happens. You reclaim your freedom. You return to the present moment. You discover that peace was never waiting on the other side of a manifestation. It was always available within you. Remember the principles we explored today. Needing it keeps your attention on its absence. Fulfillment comes before the physical result. Detachment is trust, not indifference. Living from the end changes your identity. And allowing life to respond is far more powerful than trying to force it. You do not have to spend your life chasing what you desire. You do not have to prove your worth through struggle. You do not have to wait for circumstances to give you permission to feel whole. Choose fulfillment now. Choose confidence now. Choose gratitude now. Become the version of yourself who already knows that life is working in your favor. Then walk forward with peace. Let go of the pressure. Release the timeline. Trust the process. And allow life to surprise you. Because the less you need it to happen, the less resistance you create. And the less resistance you create, the more naturally life can deliver what already belongs to you. Stop chasing, start trusting, start attracting, and watch how differently your world begins to respond. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this message resonated with you, take a moment right now and reflect on one thing you have been chasing. Then ask yourself, what would my life feel like if I were already complete without it? That question alone can begin a profound transformation. If you found value in this message, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need this reminder today. Your support helps these teachings reach more people who are ready to move from struggle to peace and from chasing to attracting. I would also love to hear from you in the comments. What are you choosing to release today? Remember, your power does not come from forcing outcomes. Your power comes from the state you occupy. The more fulfilled, peaceful, and confident you become within yourself, the less you depend on external circumstances for happiness. And that is often the moment everything begins to change. Thank you again for being here. May your heart be at peace, your mind be filled with confidence, and your life be blessed with unexpected opportunities and abundance. Until next time, trust yourself, trust the unseen process, and remember, the less you need it, the faster it arrives.